Please, can we all rise to the national anthem? Thank you. We would like to recognize and very warmly thank the very visionary chief host of today, the president of CIOD, Alhaji Tijani Borodo, for all of his vision and the greatness that he has brought into the Institute. We thank you. We are honored to go in your leadership. Would also like to say a hello and lovely to see you, our distinguished host and chairperson, the 2023 Annual Directors Conference Planning Committee, Mrs. Fatimatu Koka. Please put your hands together for them as we do the recognition. Would also like to recognize the chairman of today's event this evening, Colonel Sani Bello, retired. He is represented this evening by Mrs. Atinuke Taiwo, who is the Executive Director of Mainstream Energy Solutions Limited. Please put your hands together for her. We're also very delighted to welcome the special guest of honor tonight, our very Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, who is the Speaker, Federal House of Representatives, and he is represented tonight by Honorable Dr. Engineer Sani Umaru Bala. Thank you for coming by. Would also like to recognize also at this time the guest speaker for this evening, our highly cerebral and indefatigable Mrs. Bola Adeshola, FIOD. She is the chairman of EcoBank Nigeria. I'll be gleaning from her wealth of experiences tonight. Would also like to warmly welcome the chairman of the Annual Directors Conference, who has sat with us all through the day with wonderful opening remarks and wonderful engagements and interaction and support. And that is Mr. Ernest Ndukwe, the chairman of MTN. Thank you. Would also like to recognize Dr. Armstrong Tagag. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Ministry of Finance, Inc. Please say warm welcome to him. It's another round of welcome because that's another distinguished personality we've had the privilege of spending all of today with, and we are glad to have you. At this time, I'd also like to recognize all the past presidents of IOD, too numerous to mention. All of the past presidents of IOD in the room, please put your hands together for them. IPP, IIPP, IIPP, and all this. Please, thank you for always being available, for standing through the event all through the day, and for being around again this evening. At this time, I'd like to welcome to the podium to give the welcome address the chairman of the Annual Directors Conference Planning Committee, Mrs. Fatimatu Koka, MIOD. Put your hands together for her as we welcome her. Thank you.
Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Please allow me to stand on existing protocol. I know the time is fast spent and we want to get to the meat of the evening. It is a great pleasure to welcome you to this much anticipated, prestigious 2023 Annual Directors Conference, Business Meets Government Dinner, organized by the Chartered Institute of Directors, Nigeria. We are so looking forward to having a good discussion over a great meal and drinks this evening, getting to know ourselves. We are excited that we have our distinguished guests with us here, ably represented, and also our very own guest speaker tonight, Mrs. Bola Adeshola. Thank you so much, ma'am, for coming all the way. She flew in this morning, y'all, all the way from Europe to be here with us tonight. The stage is all set this evening for us to have some enlightening discussions, get to know some of the critical things that we can make alliances together with, and explore the opportunity of actually steering Nigeria's economy to a greater height. And of course, making sure that we're doing this in the framework of corporate governance. As we gather tonight, this evening, all looking lovely, I will urge you to please reach over, meet someone from government or public sector that you have not met tonight, get to know that person or persons, and let's share some information with each other so we can have a fusion of business and governmental policies that we can execute during the next few years to make sure our beloved Nigeria reach her heights. This assembly tonight is a testament of all of our commitment to the well-being of Nigeria and Nigerians. I'm delighted. I'm completely ecstatic and grateful for this opportunity to serve. And to all of my planning committee members here present, I say thank you for all of your time, resources that you have given to make sure this conference happen. Thank you to the governing board. Thank you to our president for giving us the opportunity to serve. Once again, I want to say thank you to all of our sponsors. I know I thanked you today earlier, but I want to thank you again for coming through with your support, and especially to the Ministry of Finance Incorporated for actually being the headline sponsor for the dinner tonight. Thank you so very much, Dr. Armstrong and your team. I also would like to say that tomorrow is going to be a very exciting short day, and we are trying to start on time. And the good news here is that we're going to have our keynote speaker available tomorrow morning signing his book. So if you are interested, you want to go by the Mofi exhibit and meet him and get a signed copy of his book. So please be here by 8:30 if you want that to happen, because we intend to start on time. Thank you again for fasting with me today till 4 o'clock before you got your meal, but I think it was worth the while. We got a lot of information, we got a lot of sharing from the panelists today. So, without any more talking, I'm going to say a huge thank you, and please enjoy the evening. God bless, and God bless Nigeria.
Thank you so very much, our Planning Committee Chairman, for that very warm welcome. Would like to at this time invite our very, very distinguished TIOD President, Alhaji Tijani M. Borodu, FIOD, to give his opening address at this moment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The special guest of honor, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives, Federal Republic of Nigeria, ably represented by Honorable Engineer Sani Bala, a member of the House of Representatives. Our chairman of the occasion, Colonel Sani Bello, retired, Chairman, Mainstream Energy Solutions Limited, ably represented by Mrs. Atinuke Taiwo, Executive Director. Our guest of honor, His Excellency, Mr. Nyesom Wike, CON, Honorable Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, whom we are expecting to join us, or his representative. The guest speaker, Mrs. Bola Adeshola, FIOD, Chairman, EcoBank Nigeria PLC. Our host, Mrs. Fatumatu Koka, MIOD, Chairman of the National Organizing Committee, past presidents of the Charter Institute of Directors, members of the Governing Council and Executive Committee of the Institute of Directors, fellows, and members of our great institute, icons and captains of industry, members of the 2023 Annual Directors Conference National Organizing Committee, our guests and sponsors, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is with great honor and humility that I address this wonderful gathering, which I have deliberately tagged Business Meets Government Dinner. In organizing this event, the Chartered Institute of Directors in Nigeria is very conscious of the magic that the synergy of the public and private sectors in Nigeria can achieve for our nation. Your presence at this event brings us great pleasure. As an institute that's dedicated to empowering and nurturing directors while also representing their interests to the government, forums such as this are necessary to actualize this mandate and provide opportunities for our members to relate with the public sector at the highest level. The leadership of the Institute views this gathering as crucial, especially considering the emerging challenges in the business landscape globally. Our purpose in convening tonight is to encourage discussions, share diverse perspectives amongst stakeholders, and propose strategies to enhance the business environment in our dear country, Nigeria. The primary focus is to foster dialogue and exchange ideas that can lead to actionable measures for improving the business environment. Ladies and gentlemen, permit to lay a firm foundation for our discourse tonight. According to the data from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, a slowdown in the global economy is expected to be experienced in 2024, with a projected growth rate at 2.9%, representing a significant decline from the growth rates observed in 2022 and 2023, which were 3.5% and 3% respectively. The deceleration is a cause for concern, as it can result in reduced job opportunities, decreased consumer spending, and hindered business expansion. Both advanced and emerging economies are expected to be affected by the slowdown, albeit with varying degrees of severity. While advanced economies may grapple with the stagnant growth and inflation, emerging economies might face more acute challenges due to their reliance on export and volatile capital flows. The divergence in economic performance has the potential to disrupt global economic equilibrium. Furthermore, the increase in government debt levels to fund stimulus packages raises concerns about long-term fiscal sustainability. While the focus on sustainability and green initiatives continue to shape many countries and businesses, decision to transition towards a more environmentally friendly and energy-efficient economy impacting sectors such as renewable energy and electrical vehicles. Coming home to Nigeria, the business environment has been less than favorable and negatively impacted various sectors and industries. Economic instability, largely driven by our country's heavy reliance on oil revenue, contributed to the fluctuating economic conditions affecting businesses, stability, and growth perspectives. Infrastructural deficit, particularly in transportation, power sector, and basic amenities, increased operational costs and hindered productivity for many enterprises. Moreover, pervasive issues such as corruption, bureaucracy, hurdles, policy inconsistencies created an uncertain regulatory landscape, making it difficult for businesses to plan, operate efficiently, and attract foreign investment. Also, insecurity remains a significant concern with ongoing threats from insurgencies, bandits, and kidnappings in certain regions of this country. These security issues not only endangered businesses and their operations, but also deterred potential business investors, both domestic and foreign. Challenges in employment also persist, with a high rate of unemployment limiting the consumer base and creating social issues that could impact business operations. These challenges demand comprehensive and coordinated efforts from both the public and private sectors to foster a more conducive and stable business environment in Nigeria. Looking ahead, 2024, these challenges may pose obstacles, but they also present enormous opportunities for innovation and resilience. By addressing them through policy reforms, infrastructural investments, access to finance, and above all, much less ethical conduct, Nigeria's businesses environment will thrive and contribute to economic growth and development. Without an environment that supports growth, it becomes exceedingly challenging to attract and maintain private investments. When government policies are not favorable, the potential for any private enterprise expand, scale, and create new jobs opportunities becomes severely limited. To accelerate economic recovery, restore investor confidence, and attract new investments and foster employment, a supportive and conducive environment is indispensable. As active stakeholders in the Nigerian business community, the event's timing could not be more opportune. I extend my sincere appreciation to all our esteemed guests for dedicating their time to this event. I'm optimistic that the discussions and agreements we reach today will significantly influence the economic landscape of our dear country. This, in turn, should trigger development of strategic policies aimed at enhancing economic transformation and diversification, ultimately contributing to the growth and advancement of the Nigerian economy. Thank you for your attention, and I wish you fruitful and enjoyable deliberations. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, distinguished President. Always a pleasure to listen to you, and thank you very much for that very warm opening address. At this time, would like to call on the chairman of the day, Chairman Colonel Sani Bello, retired, who is represented by our very distinguished Mrs. Atinuke from Executive Director at Mainstream Energy. Please put your hands together as she comes up. Thank you.
Please permit me to stand on existing protocol. I hereby extend the warm greetings of the Chairman, Board of Directors, Mainstream Energy Solutions Limited, Colonel Sani Bello, retired, who apologizes for his inability to make it due to prior engagements that he had committed to. I will now read his address. I thank the Chartered Institute for putting this event together and for playing such a vital role in the development and education of boards across the public and private sector in our nation, Nigeria. The role of the corporate governance is more important today in helping to drive and sustain Nigeria's economic transformation and its industrialization agenda. This event and its theme serves as a platform for us to collectively explore innovative strategies, exchange valuable insights, and forge meaningful connections that will help shape the future and success of organizations that ensure transparency, accountability that can be trusted by both investors, capital markets, other stakeholders, and the public at large. By implementing good corporate governance best practices, we can attract much needed investments in our nation, which is necessary to foster and sustain long-term growth. It is important to note that the quality of our corporate governance determines our cost of much needed capital needed to industrialize and diversify our economy, so that we are not dependent only on raw material exports, but are able to enhance the values of those raw materials we find within our country, thereby ensuring that we have added value creation, which develops into vibrant small, medium, and large-scale enterprises that will be the backbone of our economic growth. As we embark on this enlightening journey to unravel our untapped potential, let us note that our commitment to good corporate governance practices will aid the development of our capital markets and further enhance innovation, entrepreneurship, and positively impact employment in our nation, Nigeria. I thank the Institute for this opportunity and wish you all a fruitful deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's another smart, short and sharp. Goodwill. Yes, please put your hands together to her one more time. Thank you. Thank you so much. At this time, would like to welcome another very remarkable and passionate supporter of our show. Would like to welcome you, Dr. Armstrong Tagang, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ministry of Finance, Incorporated. Please come up for the warm goodwill. Thank you.
I'd like to follow in the footsteps of the previous speakers to stand on the existing protocols that have been established. I'll be speaking tomorrow. And so, without preempting what I'm going to talk about tomorrow, I'd just like to say that we're glad to be here this evening as part of this very distinguished members of the Institute as well as the guests. This event could not have come at a better time. For those of you who might have followed the history of the transformed MOFI, we came into being the 1st of February this year, a few months old. And so from our standpoint, the difference between the MOFI before it was reformed and the new MOFI, it's really about governance. And we believe that this institute is a key partner, and we're looking forward to going on this journey with you. As we look at the room, especially earlier this morning, it is very clear to us that the partners that we need for a successful journey are members of this institute and the very fabric that the institute represents. And so tomorrow I would speak a little bit more about why I say so. But for tonight, all I would say is bon appétit.
Bon appetit, everyone. Say bon appetit to the person to your left. Ahead of the meal, bon appetit, everyone. Thank you. Thank you very much. And we're taking it further to another very remarkable person in the room today. We spoke about this being a fusion of business and government. And we have almost an institution this evening representing government. And so at this time, I'd like to call on our special guest of honor, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas. And like we know, he is represented this night by a very distinguished, well-known individual in the room. He's standing already. Do I start with the doctor, engineer, Sani, Umar? Please put your hands together as he comes forward. Bala, thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you very much. A very good evening to each and everyone here. Well, I stand to put myself on the existing established protocol, and I begin by registering my honest apology of my principal, the Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, PhD, who is unavoidably absent and has requested that I represent him at this occasion. He has asked me to tell you that he would have loved to be here with you, but due to other national assignments scheduled before this event, he is unable to make it to this place. On behalf of the Speaker and the entire House of Representatives, I bring you fraternal greetings from the National Assembly of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. As a former civil servant and currently a public servant, I am glad to be associated with this group of professionals. Indeed, having reached the peak of your careers, you must have spent a whole lot of your lives offering service to government and humanity. I understand that today's occasion, which is an annual event, is a gathering of boardroom executives in Africa. It is a forum of professionals, business leaders, captains of industry, entrepreneurs, and decision makers, both in the public and private sector. There is no gainsaying that in today's world, where a partnership and networking is the order of the day, it is my belief that this kind of gathering is capable of exposing opportunities that will lead to sectoral and national development. I wish to congratulate the initiators of this concept, especially for sustaining the tempo over time. This year's theme, driving Nigeria's economic transformation and diversification, the role of corporate governance, is the one that sits at the heart of the national development. With all our vast resources, if we do not have adequate human capital or decision makers to galvanize these resources, we shall continue to be seen as a nation with so much resources, yet cursed. It is my hope that this gathering shall maintain its objective of enhancing a platform for connectivity and cross-fertilization of ideas that will turn Nigeria's economic fortunes for a better. You'll agree with me that times are pretty difficult, not only in Nigeria, but also in most parts of the world. And as such, there is a need to involve everyone in the effort to transform Nigeria into a world-leading economic destination. The talk about diversification has been up for too long. We must therefore do more than mere talks. Now is the time to actually walk the talk. I hope that at the end of this event, your ideas and resolutions shall not end on papers, but be put into action. Thus, our role in the legislature is to accept ideas from corporate organizations such as this, so we can use the relevant legislative tools to promote good governance and national development. Therefore, I want to assure you that the 10th National Assembly is more than ever ready to associate itself with development partners for the good of our country and every Nigerian. At this juncture, I wish to thank the organizers of this event for finding it worthy of inviting the speaker to be part of you. It is said that for every minute spent, an hour is earned. It is my prayer that the objective of today's gathering shall be gained and the purpose met. Let me reiterate that where you think the legislature need to come in, please feel free to immediately reach out to us. Like I said before now, we are partners in progress, and your success is definitely our success. Thank you for listening, and God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Thank you. We're wrapping up and warming up to listen to a very distinguished speaker this evening. I would also like to call another very distinguished person. And I do think that he has arrived and he's in the room. We had skipped him a while ago. And that's the person of Dr. Alim Abubakar, the Chief Executive Officer of TechSem. Please put your hands together for him as he steps forward.
Good evening to you all. It's a wonderful pleasure to be with you. I'm delighted to be in Nigeria. I traditionally live in the UK, so I'm so elated to be with stakeholders like yourself that are driving transformation in corporate governance. Very quickly, I'm just going to stand on all existing protocol. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the honor of granted to me to address you this evening at the Institute of Directors, Nigeria's Confab, where we explore leading transformation, the role of corporate governance in the next few minutes. Let's delve into a very critical and crucial facet of corporate governance tailored to dynamic challenges of developing countries like Nigeria. So the theme I'll be trying to address will be on what? The strategic leadership role of the board during turbulent times. One of the speakers earlier said we are going through VUCA times, but I believe that we are going through what? VUCAT time. So and the V is, we all know, volatile, U is uncertain, C is complex, A is ambiguous, and the T is turbulent. And therefore, we need unusual solutions. Now, when we talk about VUCA times in a developing country context, what does that mean? It means that we are grappling with turbulence. It means that we are dealing with weak institutions, limited infrastructure, high cost of operation, fluctuating foreign exchange. It also means that what has worked in the morning may not work in the afternoon. And the role of the board is even more strategic and more critical, more essential, more crucial. So I believe that we shouldn't see these roadblocks as setbacks, but we should see it as a setup for a comeback, or a setup for a step up. And that's what I hope that all the directors here today will try to achieve. So let's try to glean some wisdom from an African example, because Africa is indeed very blessed. In Europe, where I am, we are living in a crisis situation because the age of the average African populace is very young. And therefore, there are huge opportunities in Africa. So the Rwandan Development Board orchestrated transformation in the tourism space, making it one of the leading tourist destinations in Africa. And this is a good example of what we call the myth of leadership. When people talk about leadership, or they talk about leadership in Rwanda, they only talk about Paul Kagame. But we know that for every leader, there are teams, armies of teams behind the scenes. And the board of the Rwanda Development Board is a wonderful example of excellent board governance, resilience, dynamism, and of course, uncommon solutions. And now everyone is saying, let's go to Rwanda, because the board has been very, very visionary. So if I'm to take a cue from Henry Misberg, one of the leading thinkers of all times, he says, strategy is a pattern in a stream of decisions. So strategy is a what? A pattern in a stream of decisions. And there are lessons to be learned that can be learned from the Rwandan experience. So the first thing is to nurture a collaborative ecosystem, leverage technology for efficiency, align policies with the nation's vision, and champion environment, social, and governance principles. And this is what can help. If Rwanda could have achieved this, then you folks in Nigeria can also do this too. So it's critical to actually think about opportunities that can be leveraged in this very VUCAT world that we're living in. We are also living in an age where the digital landscape is transforming the way things are done. In this digital era, the role of the board transcends traditional governance. The board must grapple with artificial intelligence, virtual reality, big data, deep data, quantum computing, cryptocurrency, while making decisions. So it's critical, it's really essential that the boards, the top decision makers, understand all these tools and how this can disrupt their business models and provide directions that would actually address this. For example, one of the big risks that boards would face is cyber risk. You know, one of our clients recently shared with me that just a few days ago, it's a bank, its systems were hacked, and they actually had to negotiate with hackers. This is a huge risk that the board, in some cases, may have to get involved in. And one of the things we said to them is, have you considered having an insurance for your cyber risk? But again, this is something that the board has to lead from the front. Also, it's also critical and important that when we are thinking about digital realities. This can also help us improve our credentials around the environment, society, and of course, governance. So there are tangible solutions for directors in Nigeria. The first I would say is they should try and explore a tangible solution, to explore collaborative ecosystem. So what does this mean? So they need to start looking at win-win opportunities, start looking at synergies that unlocks value not just for themselves, but for everyone. So, I mean, almost 20 years ago, it was quite unknown for leaders to explore co-opetition, situations where you collaborate and you still compete. But in this day and age now, with technology, you can actually explore competition. So the board can actually drive that without necessarily, losing sleep of losing some of your very critical insights that you have. The second is around risk management. So we all know that we are the center of gravity of arguably good governance in Africa, since we are here at the Chartered Institute of Directors. But it's quite important to mention that we need to develop robust strategies for risk management, considering currency risk and high inflation while incorporating ESG principles. And I know the question on your lips is, this is all theory. Who has done it before? I want to share with you a good example of the Central Bank of Brazil, who have been able to actually navigate this very turbulent, toppy water of managing risk and, of course, enshrining ESG and stabilizing the Brazilian currency. Also, innovation is critical. Innovation is no more something that is done by the head of innovation, but it should be driven by the board. So the board should try to avoid groupthink, try to embrace what we call, can we all say EDI? Come on, guys, can we say EDI? So what does EDI mean? Equity, diversity, and inclusion. So when we are talking about innovation, to avoid things like groupthink, we need to actually embrace what? Equity, diversity, and inclusion. So a few examples, specific examples I will give. So in the midstream and downstream, governance can be improved in the licensing, way licenses are being issued. It should be more transparent and much more open, so that everyone would believe that they have a open and fair chance of winning a license in the oil and gas industry. In the pension industry, they can embrace technology to actually make sure that the systems and processes are much more seamless. In telecommunication, of course, it's all about infrastructure, and this has to be driven by the board. Banking and insurance, they have to actually strengthen risk management mechanism with an emphasis on sustainability and ethical practices. And of course, governance parastatals, which is in line with the President of Nigeria's mandate of renewed hope, is very critical and important that they have a joined-up approach, just like the South Korea's e-government system, where people are not working in silos and working alone. So the call to action to you folks is this. In conclusion, strategic leadership demands courage, innovation, and adaptability. In turbulent times, as directors, you are not merely stewards, you are the architects for change. Embrace the challenges, leverage technology, foster collaboration, and champion ESG principles. Your role is not just pivotal, it's transformative. In the crucible of turbulence, diamonds are formed. Be the architects of Nigeria's bright, sustainable future. As Peter Drucker said, management is doing the right thing, leadership is doing management is doing things right, leadership is doing the right thing. Let us lead with wisdom, guided by the principles of ESG, sustainability, and of course, ethical governance. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Chief Executive Officer of Texim, Dr. Alim Abubakar. Thank you for reminding us of all of those principles And the vision of IOD is to consistently develop directors and plenty of learning all day and this evening. Thank you. Now, we want to go to the very big one. Today, we have gathered this evening to listen to an Amazon, a phenomenal woman, a very distinguished personality who have done so much in the world of cooperation, impact, and sustainability. Mrs. Bola Deshola was appointed the chairman at EcoBank Nigeria in July 2021. Please keep clapping. She has also served as the senior vice chairman of Africa at Standard Chartered Bank. Please keep clapping. She's also served as the chairman of the Lagos Business School Alumni Association. Keep clapping. Beyond her professional achievements, she's won several awards, and she's outstanding contributions have earned her international recognitions. From being appointed to the United Nations Global Compact Board by the United Secretary General. Please keep clapping. More importantly, very more importantly, the thing that warms her heart, she is married and a proud mother of 2 distinguished daughters. She's also an avid reader, extensively traveled, and an arts enthusiast. Please keep clapping.
Thank you very much, Chizo. Sorry, I had to rush you off the stage because I think that we need to also respect time. I got here at 5:30, and people also got here early. So for me, I think it's very, very important. It's a major challenge we have as a nation, managing our time. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry I had to rush Chizo off, but we need to respect those who got here on time. Good evening. I'm not standing on existing protocols because I think we've overflogged that as well this evening. So you have to put up with me in this regard. I'd like to congratulate our institute, and I will say our institute, on our 40th anniversary, 40 remarkable years of being at the forefront of promoting good governance practices in Nigerian companies. 40 years of influence to uplift the role of directors in ensuring responsible business governance practices. 40 years of imparting knowledge to board members across the nation through very robust training programs. 40 years of major milestones, including the establishment of the IOD Young Directors Forum to nurture the younger generation to imbibe the best governance practices from the beginning of their directorship journey. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think definitely the Institute deserves that applause. I would also like to congratulate my brother, TJ Borodo. I think for 5 years when I was on the board of First Bank, TJ and I sat opposite each other at Exco. So he's his family, and his family is my family as well. So congratulations on being at the helm of affairs of the IOD at this particular point in time. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand between all of us and dinner, so I'm not going to, stay too long. I haven't had anything to eat all day. I'm very hungry myself. But I will talk a little bit about the theme of the celebratory dinner: business meets government, or government meets business. And it's truly opposite at this point in time. It speaks to the intersection of public sector institutions and private sector businesses, and the very important respective roles that the private and public sector must play in diversifying and transforming Nigeria's economy. True and enduring economic growth will be substantially private sector led and public sector enabled. Neither can thrive, prosper, or be impactful without the other. So over the next few minutes, I'll be speaking on why corporate governance practices expected of the private sector must be mirrored by public sector governance practices and accountability for sustainable economic prosperity in Nigeria. So let's look briefly at the private sector first. The dynamism of business, the pursuit of profit, and the entrepreneurial spirit inherent in the private sector will remain driving forces behind a thriving economy. In the pursuit of profit and increasing shareholders' wealth, corporate governance is crucial as it ensures the balance of the interests of a company's many stakeholders And these stakeholders obviously include shareholders, executive, customers, suppliers, and so on and so forth. Robust levels of corporate governance in any enterprise are important for several reasons. One is to build an environment of trust, an environment of transparency and accountability necessary for fostering long-term investment. Also necessary for financial stability and business integrity, thereby supporting stronger growth and employment opportunities and more inclusive societies. It also helps to maintain the confidence of investors, and therefore, companies are able to raise capital efficiently and effectively. Corporate governance also helps to create a strong brand reputation, and it improves staff retention, thus reducing attrition and its attendant business instability. A strong corporate governance culture also minimizes wastages and mitigates fraud and other enterprise risks. It fosters staff, management, and the board acting in the best interest of the business rather than in their own best interest. So whilst the meticulous application of the principles of corporate governance ensures growth and stability of the private enterprise, strong public sector governance also has far-reaching effects on the pace of the nation's economic fortunes. Some of the elements that demonstrate good governance in the public sector include accountability, and I hope those who are public servants here are listening. Accountability, leadership, integrity, stewardship, and transparency. The A-list of basic expectations of public servants and government. Of course, fairness, responsibility, responsiveness, and inclusivity underlie these elements. A strong legal framework is required to maintain standards and enforce compliance. A sturdy public sector governance framework supports the strengthening of core state functions such as public finance and public procurement. Well-defined governance structures in both public and private sectors respectively provide the blueprint for enduring success, which is the required foundation for economic transformation. By aligning the interests of its varying stakeholders, businesses can operate with a long-term perspective, contributing to sustained economic growth. Government also, with a long-term view, can conduct its role by aligning the diverse interests in the polity in pursuit of sustained national prosperity. In the global economic landscape, investors seek stability and ethical business practices in deciding where to put their money. Companies with robust corporate governance practices become attractive investment targets. The funding that they attract increases the much-needed capital boost for the Nigerian economy. Similarly, robust public sector governance practices elevate the attractiveness of our beloved country to increase the inflow of investments and also the retention of investment capital in the country. A well-governed business is a competitive business, and by fostering innovation, accountability, and transparency, corporate governance enables companies to adapt to changing market dynamics and stay ahead in a competitive environment. In like manner, governments that provide the enabling policy environment for companies to thrive improve a country's position in a globally competitive environment. The sets of institutions, policies, structural and systemic factors are all important to drive a sustained rate of productivity and growth. So, business meets government, or government meets business. Historically, corporate governance has been the set of rules imposed on or adopted by the private sector, with the public sector mainly ensuring compliance and issuing sanctions. The public sector, of course, has its own code of conduct for public officers at both federal and subnational levels. But as I mentioned earlier, for enduring economic transformation and diversification, the public sector needs to abide by the same, if not higher standards that it holds the private sector to. And this is where the social contract and accountability come in. For both the public and private sector, stakeholders play a crucial role. In the public sector, accountability to her stakeholders is defined by the social contract. And the social contract is between citizens and their government. So what does each side expect of the other? Truly, the ultimate goal should be that collectively, both citizens and government are on the same side, the side of inclusive prosperity and sustainable economic transformation and growth. We just must be on the same side. Citizens, all of us here, and businesses, entrust authority to the government with the expectation that it will create an environment conducive to overall societal well-being, economic prosperity, and inclusive development. There are numerous government institutions striving to deliver these expectations to stakeholders. These institutions have been created to ensure that the public sector sets and maintains high standards in the discharge of its duties. Examples are the Code of Conduct Bureau, which is responsible for ensuring that public officers adhere to the highest standards of ethics. It implements the Code of Conduct for public officers, promoting transparency and ethical conduct in government. Another example is the BPP, the Bureau of Public Procurement, that oversees public procurement processes, ensuring they are conducted transparently and efficiently. The Bureau enforces compliance with procurement laws and regulations, contributing to fair and competitive procurement practices. Besides these two, there's several other government institutions striving to imbue and embed compliance with expected standards of governance and accountability. And dare I say, one of them is MOFI. So Armstrong, very well done with what you're doing with the Ministry of Finance Incorporated. The private sector cannot thrive without the support of strong government institutions. The factors that create successful and enduring companies are not dissimilar to the factors that create strong and prosperous nations. Many of us here are businessmen and women. We either run our own companies or we work for businesses, from SMEs to large listed corporations. How we plan, organize, and manage our businesses is key to our success and to our contribution to the nation's economic growth. Similarly, how government plans, organizes, and manages its institutions is also key to the nation's success, driven by the ability of the private sector to leverage on opportunities that good public sector governance provides. So the relationship between government and business is mutually reinforcing. In fact, for me, it's beyond government meets business. The meeting becomes a family affair, and it's actually an engagement. So government engages business, business engages government. Governments need a strategic vision and long-term planning to address economic, social, and environmental challenges. A clear strategy helps in setting priorities and allocating the scarce resources efficiently to ensure that the basics of economic prosperity are provided. Thankfully, our current government has laid out a strategy for economic transformation, and we must all, government and businesses alike, work towards attaining the desired turnaround in our economy. Strategy, planning, and innovation are also the bedrock of any business. Transparent and timely communication of policies and procedures allows companies to understand, assess, and give feedback on government actions. In addition, this reduces the incidence and prevalence of policy somersaults. Ethical behavior is vital for maintaining public trust, and these are all elements of corporate governance. Public officials should act with integrity, avoiding conflicts of interest, and upholding high ethical standards in their decision-making processes. The same standards are expected also of private sector businesses. Establishing key performance indicators and regularly evaluating government performance against these indicators ensures accountability and provides a basis for continuous improvement. And I'm glad that the government has set up a delivery unit, which is headed by a very strong lady who's not going to broker any nonsense from any minister or any public official who doesn't do what they're supposed to be doing. So I really pray and hope that Hadiza delivers accordingly. Key performance indicators for government are also mirrored in the way in which private sector businesses evaluate financial performance, which drives accountability and future strategies. Governments should be adaptable to changing circumstances and responsive to emerging challenges. Flexibility in governance allows for timely adjustments of policies and strategies, mirroring exactly what businesses do to remain agile and nimble, especially in the VUCA world that we exist in. The recruitment, training, and retention of skilled personnel promotes a culture of professionalism, diversity, and competence. So whilst we must obey federal character principles, competence should not be sacrificed. Similarly, a business thrives when led, managed and staffed by round pegs in round holes, truly motivated to superior performance. Robust oversight mechanisms such as independent audit functions and legislative scrutiny are crucial. These mechanisms help ensure that government actions are aligned with objectives and conducted in compliance with laws. Much the same with well-run businesses that are audited for compliance and subject to regulatory scrutiny as appropriate. So, ladies and gentlemen, just imagine if all the stars were lined up and both government and private sector businesses at all levels embed a culture of the highest standards of corporate and public sector governance, respectively, in all that we do. With a strong foundation of the practice of the above robust principles, that intersection where government meets business and business meets government could be a convergence for the greater good of society. Well, this is the voyage that we are on, and a purposeful governance journey at that. The synergy between government and the private sector would exponentially propel economic transformation and diversification of the economy. But the journey has begun. Mr. President has said many times that Nigeria is open for business. And by some of the actions and pronouncements of the government, it is evident that the private sector will be relied upon to do the heavy lifting in the journey, whilst government acts as a hoist, enabling the elevation of visions and aspirations of prosperity, turning the hope and faith to reality so that we can realize the full economic potential that lies at the heart of our beloved country. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, it is really about synergy between private sector leadership and public sector enablement. This is the key to unlocking Nigeria's economic metamorphosis toward a more productive economy, harnessing our human resources, our physical capital, our natural resources, and technology. A robust private sector, fueled by effective corporate governance, leads the charge in economic growth and job creation. The public sector, through accountable governance, acts as an enabler by providing the necessary infrastructure, regulatory frameworks, and support systems for businesses to flourish. Ladies and gentlemen, I started off with government meets business, business meets government, then gravitated towards government engages business, business engages government. I dare say I will end with government marries business, business marries government. So it's a journey and a relationship, and not a marriage of convenience, but instead a marriage of necessity. A symbiotic union between government and business. And what the Almighty God has joined together, strong corporate governance and a culture of compliance will continue to nourish and can never put us under. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. Thank you also for inviting me to speak. Please, can we have dinner now? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that wonderful insights. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, dinner is served. If you are sitting, please keep clapping as she settles in. At this point in time, we are winding down and bringing the event to a close. And one more time, my name is Chizo Malize. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of FITC, Financial Institution Training Center. I'm a member of IOD, and I'm happy to also be a part of the planning committee for 2023. We've thoroughly enjoyed having you with us all through the day. We're also looking forward to having a wonderful day with you tomorrow. We recognize all the travels from all over the world, but we do know that you would rest well and turn up early tomorrow morning. We're looking forward to seeing a very full and packed hall at 9 a.m. We're so delighted to have all of you this evening at this time. But at this time, I would love to call on the DG CEO of IOD to give us a vote of thanks. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone, for showing up greatly tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam. Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. And in the spirit of introduction, my own name too is Dele Alimi. I'm the DG CEO of IOD Nigeria. I'm a member of IOD Nigeria. The good thing about vote of thanks is it never gets counted, so there's never any dispute about it, and it doesn't have any good season or bad season or off season. It's been a wonderful evening. Usually, this dinner is held on the last day of the conference, but maybe because we are holding it on the first day of the conference, we are a little bit very uptight this evening. We have not been able to dance so that we don't get tired and we are able to come in very early tomorrow. Another lesson that we have learned. So maybe next year we'll still continue to do it at the last day of the conference so that we can sleep up to 12 noon the next day. But ladies and gentlemen, it's been a wonderful evening. We had a very long day. The sessions were quite long, but I think we appreciated what we did in the afternoon. And the evening is enough for us to wind down a little. I want to thank again the Ministry of Finance Incorporated that bankrolled this dinner. And please, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to give a round of applause to Murphy for supporting and bankrolling this dinner. Thank you very much. And of course, we want to thank all our sponsors who have been very supportive. I want to, on behalf of the Institute, thank our guest speaker. Some of us knew what Mrs. Bola Adeshola went through to be able to make it to Abuja this morning. And we are very grateful for it. And I'm mentioning this particularly because this is not the first time she will bend backwards to give our time to IOD Nigeria. And please, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Mrs. Bola Adeshola, fellow of the Institute of Director. Thank you very much, madam. Thank you very much for being here. And thank you very much for the wonderful paper. Ladies and gentlemen, we also want to thank the Honorable Speaker of the House of Rep. The representative is left now, but I know there are people here who are going to give that message to him. We really appreciate his presence here. Every year we try to alternate between the executive arms of government and the legislative arms of government because they both have roles to play in this journey of good governance, especially in the public sector. We appreciate him for sending a member of the House of Rep to represent him, especially the chairman of a subcommittee on the public sector. We really appreciate that. Thank you very much. And of course, I want to thank the members of the planning committee, the national organizing committee of this event. They've been wonderful, worked tirelessly to make this happen. Thank you very much. Our past presidents, we want to thank you for the support all the time, for the legacies you've put on ground, and which, of course, the present leadership are also following. We thank you very much. I want to thank the members of the presidency of the Institute, the first vice president and the second vice president. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. The immediate past president, we also appreciate you. You are a member of the presidency. We thank you very much. I want to thank the staff in the secretariat for the good job that has committed into this success. And I also want to thank the chairman of the conference, Dr. N.S. Ndukwe. Not only were you with us in the morning, you are again with us this evening. You have actually dedicated today to IOD Nigeria. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for making it here this evening. And I want to implore you that we should make 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Please. It is our culture in IOD to start things early. Every time we start anything late, we get very embarrassed, especially when we talk about corporate governance. I want to plead with you all, please, let us try to make it 9 a.m. tomorrow so that we can kick off at 9, and our Muslim brothers and sisters can go to the mosque because we will have finished this program before 1 p.m. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I wish you a very wonderful evening. And the band has not even started playing, so they can still play. And this is 9 o'clock. At our age, we don't need more than 6 hours, 7 hours of sleep. So we can still be here till about 10:30, 11. So that we wake up at 7, and then we take our bath and come here and get here before 9 o'clock. I'm sorry for planning your night and your day for you, but we can make it that happen. Thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and have a very nice night. Thank you.